Here are 5 ways to boost your fundraising based on neuroscience. Upfront disclaimer, I am not a neuroscientist. I am a fundraiser. But there are concepts that we can borrow from brain science or neuroscience to help us in our fundraising if we understand the psychology that compels people to do things. Because at the end of the day, as a fundraiser, as a salesperson, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to compel people to do things. If we can understand the mechanisms behind why people make decisions that they make, we can harness those mechanisms to hopefully boost our fundraising revenue. Neuroscience concept number 1, the feel-good factor. Some of you may have heard the concept of oxytocin, or the feel-good chemical in the brain. I am not going to go into the mechanism or the science of how that works. Dopamine is another chemical that kind of falls into this category. Again, we're going to not attack the nuance of these and just kind of talk in generalities about how they apply to fundraising. But generally, oxytocin and dopamine have some combination when people partner with an organization, when people give, when they're altruistic. It promotes feelings of bonding and trust and fellowship and in-group behavior, and these are all things that the donor gets out of giving to you. So what we can do as a protocol or a concept off of this is try to reinforce good behavior. So when a donor first gives, is to have a very personal thank you, or to have a very personalized impact reporting or impact statement of, hey, because you gave this much money, we're now able to do this. We often make the mistake of making fundraising very transactional. Say, especially if someone gives online, they get this very form tax receipt of thank you for your contribution of blah, 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 blah. And it looks like a literal receipt instead of this more personalized or more customized. You can even automate this online, but a more personalized response that says, thank you so much for partnering with us. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's what you have done to help us do that, to kind of reinforce those. So they'll maybe get a little bit of a boost when they give, but the more that you can connect with them and have that human back and forth right when they make the decision to give, or even in some sort of a recognition piece afterwards, the more likely they are to want to have that oxytocin, that dopamine, that feel-good hormone. Again, I'm being a little bit reductive about how these chemicals precisely work, but we want to harness the power of giving feels good. What can I do to make it feel even better so that the next time I ask, their brain thinks back to, oh yeah, last time I gave, that was pretty great. I would like to experience that feeling again, or I would like to continually support this organization to get this feeling all the time. So, feel-good factor, oxytocin. All right, concept number 2 is empathy, or if you want to call it the more sciencey, mirror neurons. Say that 5 times fast. So for empathy, what we can really harness in this situation is the ability for others to hopefully feel the things that we're feeling, or to feel the things that the people that they're helping are feeling. There are 2 ways that we can kind of help compel them to do this. The first is through visuals. You can see this done really well on some of the big national charity brands. Like you look at American Red Cross, St. Jude, like they're gonna have pictures of kids kind of right in the beginning, and you scroll down and there's even more. Or for disaster relief efforts, you might see some people sitting by rubble. This is not to make you feel badly, although that's maybe part of it. It's not like a trick necessarily, but they want you to kind of put yourself in the shoes of those people that they're serving, so that you have that human reaction of that, like, I feel a little bit compelled to help, compelled to partner, compelled to associate myself and do some good in that way. So it's less of like, we're trying to explicitly convince you to do something, and more they want to evoke emotion through the imagery that they're sharing. So that's the first way. Obviously, imagery, very, very effective. The second way is storytelling. We get a lot of the same effects through storytelling. So even having a single person that you've helped, a wonderful story, even if in written text, better if it's in video, or better if it's in some sort of audio where you can experience the story. But just having it in a paragraph of text is way more compelling than lots of impact numbers. Like it is more persuasive, more convincing to tell a story about one person that you've helped than to say that you've helped 10,000 people. It's very hard for us in our kind of tribal brains to look out and be like, I can even picture 10,000 people. I don't even know 10,000 people. And I think most of you probably are in that same boat. So we're looking at that singular, where can I create empathy? Where can I have those mirror neurons where I'm a little bit experiencing some of the things that they're experiencing, which compels me to partner or join. So we want to harness that power and use lots of imagery and stories throughout our fundraising. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you're getting value out of this but would like something more personalized, you can book 30 minutes with one of our experts to see if you qualify for our support services. Link below in the description. Concept number 3, is the bandwagon effect. This is when I see someone else do something, I also want to do that thing. Why would I also want to do that thing? Well, for thousands of years, back in the olden times, it was a good idea to fit in with a group. Kind of the tribalism, the need to belong to a group is very ingrained into our DNA at this point. We have this high compulsion to want to belong. So if we see lots of people doing something, we, even if it's a good idea or bad, are often compelled to do that thing. We can harness this concept to our advantage. The best way to do this is recognition. So if we have a list of donors on a website saying, look at all the people who have supported us at this level, join this wonderful group of people and become part of it. Even more powerful is if you know somebody on that list, or if you're talking to a donor and you know some of their peers. Hey, John was able to donate this and Sally was able to do this much. We'd love for you to join them at that same level. So even if they're mildly interested in the cause, or they're like, well, I don't really know, but because some of my peers, some of the people that I trust, some people that I know will know that either I donated or didn't donate, we can kind of use the fear of missing out and wanting to hop on the bandwagon to compel people. This is not obviously a foolproof way of doing things. We don't automatically get donations just by listing people's names, but it is one more factor that can help push people over the edge. It's why in the beginning of campaigns, you go to your easiest yeses first, the ones that you don't need the bandwagon to get people to take charge and take lead on showing others that this is an important project to support. Once you get that list of names, you can take those names, those initial people who endorse you, and use it to get everybody else. That's why we start with our easy yeses, our inner circle, and then just kind of work our way out from there so that other people can get on the bandwagon. Concept number 4, scarcity. Again, this kind of goes back to the idea that advertisers use a lot of, oh, we only have so many of these in stock left, or maybe a car dealership when they're trying to sell you a used vehicle. We'll use the idea of scarcity. And a lot of people have been looking at this car this week. Give it till Friday, it's probably gonna be gone. Or we got 3 offers on this car already. You better go ahead and pull the trigger. That may be true, or it may be not true, but it compels us to be like, oh, if I don't take advantage of this thing right now, it will go away. So we can kind of do this in a couple of different ways. One is, oh, we have this specific cause that we're working on now. We need 25 donors at this level to help make it happen. We obviously came to you first so that you can help support this and fund this thing. So we're saying, hey, this is a very exclusive thing. It's a one-time project. The other is with naming opportunities or recognition, saying, hey, there are 3 rooms that we're going to name, each for $50,000. Before we take these names, these rooms, these naming opportunities to the community and kind of publish them, because of course they're going to be flying off the shelf. People are going to want to put their name in recognition for a donation here. Do you and your family maybe want to put your name on it first? Just let me know by Friday and we can kind of go from there. So again, building up scarcity, or hey, this is kind of a limited time or a one-time opportunity, will, again, not a way to trick donors into doing something they're not going to do, but the ones that are kind of in debating or they don't know exactly what they want to do, using a little bit of the scarcity effect to help push them over the edge is very, very effective. All right, the final concept is trust. And this might be oversimplified, but let me further explain. We want as much as we can to build a 2-way relationship-based connection with our donors. And trust can be built over time with transparency. There's kind of several different ways. You can have transparency of your financials, saying here's how we bring in money, here's how we spend that money, publishing those and making those very clear, saying, look, we've eliminated a lot of waste, or a huge percentage of it goes to the actual mission, our admin costs are low, or we're very efficiently run, or we're able to donate 80 cents of every dollar to whatever. However you want to share your financials. Sharing the ins and outs of your methods, saying not only are we spending this money, but here's how we spent this money, here are the mechanics of what we purchased, what staff we hired, what programs we've launched, and kind of how those actually operate. And then of course, transparency of impact. This is the one that is the easiest to do, it is the most exciting, and it is the one we forget to do the most often. Once you have gotten a donation and you've spent it on the thing, how critical it is to then talk about it, package it in a way that you can bring it back to the donors and say, look, you gave this and we were able to do this. Here's this wonderful report, here's a story, here's a list of data, or some combination of all those things showing you how awesome this thing that you do is. Yes, that's going to reinforce the behavior, talk about some of the other concepts we talked about earlier. It checks a lot of boxes, but really what you're doing by doing that over and over is building that trust over time. By building trust, your barrier or the wall to climb over to get that next gift gets smaller and smaller and smaller. If you can do this continually, ideally you're building this donor base who doesn't leave you. You know, I think the national average is like 40% of donors who give to one organization don't give the next year. We're really bad at this, you know, kind of as an industry as a whole. But if we can build trust and build connections and relationships through sharing that information, that really it all is. Like when donors say, I want to trust you, it's like, great, we're going to be very transparent, we're going to be very open with all of our books, our methodology, our impact. As we learn things, we will then tell you those things. That's what you get as a donor, is you get kind of inside access to the things that we're doing. Sure that we're sharing a lot of it online and in our public-facing stuff, but if you can get additional things to those donors privately, they will learn to trust you more. And then instead of saying, you know, will you give, it's which of these would you like to support? People are kind of already bought in on the idea of supporting your charity. So really, really important to build that trust through credibility and transparency. So that was a lot of science in one day, especially for me. So maybe pick a couple of those that you found interesting and apply them to your own fundraising, whether in your written fundraising or in your sitting down and talking to people, and let us know how it goes. Get out there and raise a little bit more money. Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you're ready to level up your fundraising program, Pride Philanthropy might be able to help. Our team helps raise over $100 million per year for dozens of clients all over the country. We train staff and volunteers, conduct feasibility studies, and manage multi-year campaigns. If you're looking for outside help to kickstart your program or rejuvenate your efforts, you can book a free 30-minute call with one of our experts to see if you qualify as a client of Pride. Visit pridephilanthropy.com or click the link below, and we'll see you over there.